Sauce.
Hey, you like Pez?
It looks like that. Here's Heaney from the boundary line. He's an expert at these. From the boundary line!
Hello and welcome to Behind the Boundary podcast. I'm your host, Pez. I'm here with Sauce, and this is one of our favourite weekends of footy. We have preliminary finals coming up Friday night and Saturday night, two of the biggest games of the season, and they are going to be great contests, Sauce.
Yeah, Pez, it's great to be here because you are correct. It is one of the great spectacles of the AFL season. It is the fans' grand final, Pez. It is electric. You and I have been to so many prelims over the years where our teams have been there, when our teams haven't been there. It is a great spectacle, and it's really, really good for football that both prelim finals, no matter where they're being played, are going to have home or they're going to have crowds, and to be able to celebrate the great game that we have and an amazing final series already.
Yeah, and that's a big thing to have crowds. How good was it last week, a 1-point game, Brisbane versus the Western Bulldogs with a crowd there at the end? And even round 23, Brisbane Lions versus West Coast, when they had a packed house there. The atmosphere, and you're not there, but it actually feels more like football than an empty stadium in lonely Victoria at the moment.
We were just talking about it then, Pez. Geelong on their social media had the boys in the race before the GWS game, and you can hear the excitement in Jeremy Cameron's voice. He actually mentions, you can hear it's like, how good's footy with a crowd? Like, the players want it. It makes football better viewing on the screen, better than the little button and the sound reports with the fake boos and the fake cheers that they couldn't work out. And Pez, it just reminds you why we love football and why it's so good to be there. And Pez, we actually, the last game you and I went together was Melbourne Geelong back in round 3.
Yeah, round 3 was a long time ago, and the few games that we did get to in Victoria this season. But I guess you're hoping not for a repeat of that day.
No, I'll take any other year's result against Melbourne, not any of the performances this year, Pez.
What I would love to see is that you obviously can't go around and go to the pub or anything, but I would love to see you and the 3 Melbourne blokes sitting behind you that day on a Zoom call watching the prelim final. That'd be great.
No chance, Pez. I think we actually spoke about it on the show. They were absolute flogs. And even you had a couple of times, Pez, where you turned around and were sort of giving them a bit of stick. But then it got to the third quarter, Pez, and Melbourne kicked away, and we just focused on the beers from there.
I don't think you remember it as clear as I, because I was giving them a little bit of ammunition, and I was.
I remember exactly, Pez.
Agreeing with them just so I could get under your skin, Sauce. So that
didn't work,
good
Pez.
Fun.
Didn't work, Pez. And who would have known then that we were looking at a eventual prelim final and potentially one of the premiers.
Yeah, well, we wouldn't have known then, and one of those teams is going to play in the grand final, and that's what's so good about this weekend. Usually it's majority of supporters at the game, and you don't know what's going to happen over Western Australia, and Adelaide Oval is going to be the majority Port Adelaide, obviously, but you don't know what's going to happen over in Western Australia at the moment. But I guess if they were playing at the MCG, you've got full-on Melbourne, Geelong, packed house, ready to go. We don't have that, but I'm sure the Western Australians over there will take this opportunity and pack that house, and the atmosphere will be amazing.
It's incredible, Pez. From all reports, the game, of two teams that aren't actually, two neutral teams are playing there, going to be sold out from all regards. I had 2 people actually contact me from Western Australia that I hadn't spoken to in a long time, going, I know that you're a Geelong member. Did you get a barcode for the game? And I'm like, no, I don't live in Perth. But it sounds like it's a hot commodity over there, Bears, trying to get tickets for this game. And it's going to be an amazing spectacle. And it's really good for Western Australian football. It's really good for SBS Stadium, one of our favourite stadiums across the world, Pez. And it's also good because it gives us a little bit of a sneak preview of what it's going to be like the week after at a controversial time, Pez, the 7:15 time slot at the grand final.
Yeah, it's weird. It looks like we have the bye week as well, and I think I read somewhere that the Brownlow medal is on a Sunday night or late Sunday as well, which is pretty strange. But yeah, a 5:15 time slot in Western Australia, but 7:15 over on the Eastern Seaboard. So we're in for a late grand final. All those people wanting a twilight/night grand final. They're going to get their wish in terms of time, but it's still going to be a little bit of daytime at the start of the grand final, and then it will build to under lights a little bit later over in Western Australia.
Well, what's your thoughts on the nighttime time slot, Pez? Obviously, we witnessed it last year in Brisbane, the full night grand final. We're getting sort of a late evening, a sunset final. I think by half time it'll be properly into the night there. Well, what's your thoughts on it, Pez?
I'm a traditionalist, so I would prefer the other way. But these times I just want to have footy, and it sucks that I've got to wake up on that Saturday and wait all day till 7:15. There'll be lots of coverage on, I'm sure, on the TV, but I don't know what time to crack the first one open that day, because you've got to be able to make it.
Yeah, Pez, it's a marathon, not a sprint that day, for sure, at the best of times, and with the later start, it definitely is going to be a marathon. But I think I'm much with the same, Pez, not because of the traditionalist aspect, but one of my favourite things to watch after the grand final is the celebrations, the interactions with the crowd. This final's going to finish at like 10 o'clock. Well, I think last year it finished at 10:30. That was with shortened quarters. You don't get to see all the aftermath, leading into them, walking around, going to Crown to get, their medals and stuff. You don't get all those little, snippets through the news throughout the thing as they've sort of exposed, and they've had, the classic of, Jack Rewalt going up on stage and having a bit of a sing. You don't get the classics of them going through the streets. You don't get to see that with such a late final.
No, and I think if you go to a grand final as well, you want to have that time to soak it all up in the daytime when you walk out of it. And You've got the atmosphere around you. I've been unlucky in terms of all the grand finals I've been to have either been losses or draws, but you still, appreciate that time afterwards when you're walking back either to the train station or finding the car, and you've just got people around you. You've got people that are shattered, and you've got people who are ecstatic, like it's the best thing that's ever happened in their lives. So that's the contrast between the two supporters there.
Yeah, it is, Pez, and that's one of my favourite memories of actually being at the grand final and seeing Geelong beat Collingwood one year. Exactly what you said. We spent it was about an hour and a half after the game, after they've sung the song 1,000 times and getting the medallion medals. They've gone around, and the crowd starts to empty out, and I'm walking back to the train station to debate with my mate whether we're going to kick on or not, and we made friends with some Geelong people. I ended up at some random's house in Geelong that night, caught the train home with all these Geelong folk, and had a very, very boozy night in Geelong, and it was fantastic, and it definitely wouldn't have happened if it was 11 o'clock at night, Pez. There's no chance I'm making it through. Didn't get much sleep as it was, but one of the great memories that I think, for fans who are going to be at the grand final, it's going to be lost a little bit.
Yeah, but, we've got to, I guess, consider ourselves lucky to actually be having a grand final, and it's going to go ahead, and we've only got 3 games of football left, Source, and I can't wait to get into it and dissect it with a fine-tooth comb a little bit later in our show today, and it's going to be very good. There's been other news, and the news that we spoke about on Monday was the Lachie Neale thing, and I was saying, he needs to stay and go around another thing, and I'm pretty sure he listened to the show, because he's turned around today and said, we'll sort it out with the support of the family, and it has been hard through COVID, so I have had these discussions, but he's going to stay another year and give it another crack. Yeah,
I was a bit disappointed in Lachie Neale that he didn't quote the show, and because that's exactly the advice we gave him, and it's the right advice, Pez. We said that for what Brisbane need to do is go to Lachie Neale and say, hey, give us one more year, and if we can't do it next year, we've got our trajectory, we're heading towards a premiership, then you can go, but give us one more year, Pez, and that's what he's doing. He's giving them one more year, and he doesn't want to go at the moment. Hopefully that premiership window doesn't close.
Yeah, I think the culture of that club and the relationships there, I know family comes first, and that's why, he was considering that decision of going back home and being around all family members, especially during this tough time with COVID and the pandemic going on during the world. But I think the culture and relationships within that club, he found it really, really tough to be able to make that decision. And he's worked around that to be able to say, I'm going to change things up. I'm going to either relocate family members or get some support here, do whatever I need to do to stay at this club, because I want to hold up the Premiership Cup. and I want to be wearing a Brisbane Lions jumper, not any other club.
Yeah, and we've seen clubs do this, Pez. You know, and that's all Brisbane needed to do is say, hey, give us one more year. We will provide you all the support that you need. We'll fly people over. We'll put them up. We'll give you, you know, extra this, and that. The same to what Geelong did with Tim Kelly. Give us another shot. And if you can't get it done, then off you go, and that's fine. But, you know, I think, Pez, you are right. It speaks true to the culture at the Brisbane Lions, and we've spoken about this over the last couple of years of what they're building there, and it's good for them, their first sort of, you know, chance of someone walking out the door, that they've able to retain them, and that shows a lot for those younger kids too, saying, you know what, he wanted to go and he's put us above the family, so that's a really big motivator for next year.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have a really hard decision at the end of this season as well, because I've had a lot of phone calls and DMs from other podcasts, and I'm just weighing up my options at the moment, Source, with contract talks. So see what the manager and the people say here at Behind the Boundary, and see if they can keep me on next season.
I'll tell you what, Pez, I hope it's the same manager that's organising the media, because we'll be right, Pez. Your media manager won't be able to get that deal done at all, so you'll be stuck with, not stuck with us, you'll be where you belong, Pez, where your roots are, and and there's no place like home, Pez. Behind the Boundary, you know, we go back to the cheeky punt, Pez. We've got history. There's no chance you're leaving us.
Well, speaking about the cheeky punt, Source, we did have a cheeky punt, as we always do on our footy, and we'll have to review our performance in the semi-finals.
Soft review. It's no official review. How does it end? We don't know. They've kind of lost, but they've won as well.
Oh, Pez, I hope that wasn't your way of dropping a bombshell, Pez. I much preferred it when you spoke in riddles, and don't scare me like that. So please tell me it's not true.
Oh, well, we'll have to wait and see at the end of the year. There might be a big off-season announcement. But
as long as I don't see a big suitcase emoji at the end of the year, Pez, and a jet, I think I'll be safe. But make sure you hang around, Pez.
Oh, well, I'll see what we've got to offer here at Behind the Boundary. But semi-final, Source, it was a good round. We did our review earlier in the week of the games. Now, this is our review of how we went in the round. So, betting structure, always a little bit different. Don't know if we always follow the rules, but we've got around 5 or 6 bets, maybe 7 bets, depending if you put a live bet down or what. It started off with Geelong beating the GWS Giants in the semi-final on the Friday night.
Yeah, and this sort of went to plan with what we previewed before the game and what we said was going to happen. Geelong being the stronger team, GWS challenging for some parts there. We both really loved the line there, and I had a 3-leg same-game multi-pairs. Geelong at the line, minus 16.5. Cameron Guthrie to get his 20 and Mitch Duncan to get his 20. Had the max stake on that. That was money for BBs early in the week, Pez, and Dill would be very happy because that saluted, and I had $114 coming back my way. And then, Pez, I had my other little same-game multi, just a little 3-legger, quarter-time line, minus 3.5, Geelong half-time leader and Geelong three-quarter-time leader, getting that little bit of extra value, that 225 with compared to the leave wire-to-wire, Pez. So I was looking really, really Mickey Mouse, cherry ripe, and then I was a little bit disappointed in my next bet, Pez, my cheeky, which looked amazing value early on. Brandon Parfitt had a shot at goal and missed it, and then unfortunately went off with a hamstring injury. And then as the game followed on, Sam Menegola scored a goal and Brad Close scored 2. So my lucky, which is a new addition this year, Sportsbet actually voided my bet because he went off as the medical sub.
Yeah, a bit strange. I never remember reading an announcement or anything with that, but there was a lot of complaints on social media with people saying, oh, my player's been injured in the first quarter, my multi's dead, and Sportsbet have actually gone, you know what, we're making so much money from people on these same-game multis. If a player goes off injured, we'll just void their bet, give them their money back, and they'll put it back into us on another ridiculous bet the week after. Yeah,
I can tell you what, Pez, I much would have preferred the Parfitt to stay on and kick a goal rather than the void, but I'll take that, Pez, because what it does mean, it means no money spent and no loss for me during that little bet.
Yeah, and it's, you know, the listeners of the show will always know when Geelong have a win, Source is always going to have, you know, a little bit of money coming back in because he's always got a little bit of a hand in the cookie jar when Geelong are playing.
Mate, when Geelong has been up and about as well as my team is going and made 16 of the past 17 final series, why wouldn't you be betting on the horse that always comes in, mate? So that's just common sense. It's got nothing to do with me being a Geelong supporter or not. It's good football betting.
Look, so I'm tipping if Geelong were 14th, you're betting on them every single week, all right? So,
We'll never know, mate.
all right, let's have a look at mine. You said we agreed on the line, which we did. I had same game multi, minus 16.5. Duncan to get his 20 and Jeremy Cameron to kick 2+ goals. Now, you said your money for VBs was pretty good. Did you have Mitch Duncan in that as well? Because he gave me a bit of a scare.
He gave everyone a scare.
He needed to get a hell of a lot of the pill in the fourth quarter, but he came up with 20 disposals, so that was good. $25 returning 71 there. My second bet was a bonus from the week before, which I staked on the Cats to lead every quarter wire to wire at $2.30. So I got my $32.50 back then. And then before the game, I had a look source. I heard on the radio that I was listening to, Jesse Hogan laid out. What did we say in the preview? The only way that GWS can win is to dominate in the midfield and then Jesse Hogan to be taking contested marks up forward to open that up for them to kick some goals. The line went out to minus 18.5, so he only lost 2 points and Jesse Hogan was out. So I thought, I'm putting the max on this and I'm tweeting that out because I put the max on that, Geelong minus 18.5, and it was really good because it got another tick. So I had a ripper Friday night as well.
Yeah, ripper Friday night pairs, and the benefits of listening to the radio and hearing those laid out, because not only does not always the betting market adjusts too rapidly, like obviously one player out of the 22's out, but a big player like that, like we said, that's a huge swing, and it probably should have lifted. I can't believe it stayed at 16.5 up until that announcement, though, Pairs. I was shocked with that. So funny things happen in finals, but it was a great live bet on your behalf.
Yeah, you jumped on earlier in the week because you messaged me and you were like, well, what's going on here? And you were scared that it was going to blow out past 20 points. And
I can't believe it didn't.
It didn't. So there you go. But the next game, Source, was the thriller, the 1-point thriller where the Bulldogs got over the Brisbane Lions. And we had a couple of bets on that. I might start this one. I had my same game multi. I didn't have the result in here. I had Jared Lyons to get 20. Charlie Cameron to kick 2+ goals. He kicked 3 in the first quarter. And Zach Bailey, anytime goal scorer. He kicked 2 behinds to start off with. And then he got 2 goals after that, and one really important goal that didn't end up being so important because they lost, but an absolute ripper to draw the game in that fourth quarter late as well. My other bet, I had Tom Liberatore to get 20+, McCluggage to get 20+, and Brisbane 1-39, which obviously they didn't win. So that bonus bet did not get up, unfortunately.
No, Pez, and that was the story of my bet, Pez. I had one bet, and it was a bonus bet, max 50 from the week before. I had Brisbane 1-39, and if that gets up, Pez, I would have had a perfect round because the other bet I had was just a little multi, Geelong and Brisbane both to win. So that's 2 crosses for me, Pez, but only $25 lost in that one. So I obviously would have much preferred the cash in the pocket, but you know what? Escaping with a $25 loss for the round is not too bad after all.
That would have been another $111.30 Source, just pure profit there. That would have been big.
It would have been, but not to be, Pez. I'm sure there's a lot of Brisbane Lion fans that wouldn't have minded Cameron to get a hold of that run in the last quarter and snag a little a goal, but not to be.
I've seen that so many times, and how Charlie Cameron didn't get that with his pace. Taylor Duray played very, very well in that singular certain situation.
But Pez, how many times have you seen that same situation and Duray go to the floor? Like, he goes to the ground a lot as a defender, and it was like the first time I've seen him in a long time hold his ground against a much elite player, and it was the one time when I'm like, you bastard. You bastard.
He's done well. Probably comes with experience. Now, my other one, I thought it was looking good at the start, but Cam Guthrie let me down in the first day. I had my big 7-leg same-game multi, which didn't end up winning, and I had Treloar to get 20+, who hardly touched the pillow that Saturday night. And Danaher to kick 2 goals. He only got 1 with about 6 disposals, and the other one that lost was Guthrie didn't get the most disposals. But everything else got up on that first night. I was looking good. I was like, Guthrie, where are you? Didn't happen, and that $10 cheeky got the cross, but we had a good round because I staked $110. I returned $250, so I had a plus ROI of 127.27%, which Source, very exciting stuff. Staked $4,810 for the year, returned $5,293.67, and I've broken again the 10% barrier. I'm back.
You're back, Pez. You're back. Very no dunksy there with Trey. You're back. and loving seeing you above 10%, Pez. And for me, it's familiar territory, really, for me being above 10%. But I'll go through my round anyway. So for the semi-finals round, I staked $100 and returned $172.25. Gives me an ROI of a pretty straightforward one, Pez. Even with my basic math skills, I could work that one out.
You can work that out. That's good.
72.25%. Beautiful ROI for that. That means for the year, Pez staked $4,270 and returned $5,028.29 with an ROI, Pez, 17.75%. And honing in on that 20, and this is the week, Pez. This is the week I'm going to get the big 20 and another big off-season for us.
It's a week you're going to get the 20. If you are going to get to 20, I know one thing does need to happen. Geelong need to win. So
maybe not.
Maybe not. That's definitely one thing. We speak emojis all the time, and what do you think of the emojis this week?
I love it, Pez, because yours is combining with mine. I'm cool as a cucumber. Is that what it is, a cucumber?
That's exactly what it is, and that's why the little cucumber came out. So, you're just cruising along. You're 72% in the round. Very, very good. And my 127%. Put the sunglasses on, went outside. It's sunny in spring now, and just going, yep, I've got the hotel there.
That's not actually a hotel, Pez. I've got a bone to pick you with this one. That's a hospital. You got the hospital there.
Open up your messages.
That's a hospital. It's got a love heart on top.
Open up your messages.
No.
Grab your little emoji thing and write hotel, and that will come up. What do you mean it's got a heart? A hospital has a cross, mate. Yeah, well, a red cross, not a heart.
Yeah, well, this is a more positive one. This is not the one focused on death. This is the hospital you want to go to. This is where you go to get resurrected, Pez, not the other one with the cross where it's a game over.
Hey, it's a hotel with a heart on it. A little bit of hanky-panky goes on inside this hotel. So,
do you want to borrow the cucumber from mine, do you?
It's not the red cross like you think, but there we go. I didn't know those emojis would create that little conversation. So a little bit of fun.
Who would have thought we'd be talking about hanky-panky and cucumber? And then love and crosses, Pez. So might be time to move on and preview a massive, massive game, Pez. Or is that what you want to do, Pez? Or do you want to talk to the specials first? How do you want to run this?
Well, hit that betslip button and then we'll have a look at the specials.
The fact that the size of the bets was relatively small.
Our bets with an opportunity about 50 metres out.
I was with a mate and we were getting sort of ready to leave, and he said, I think I'm going to whack 10 on Maxi. Do you want some as well? And I said,
Oh, yes!
Oh, Pez. There's only one more of those we're going to hear for the year, Pez. Only one more, which means we're in prelims, and I'm pretty excited to hear the specials, Pez.
Cyril takes a special and goes bang.
I was going to say it could have been more than one source if we had a draw in the grand final, but they had to change that rule. So you are correct with only one more week to go after this. But we'll probably hear that bet slip surely if we get a Brownlow show. So that just gave it away that we might not do one.
No, we're going to do it. Actually, that's my error. My period. I'm going to post the correction. We're definitely getting a Brownlow show this year, so you'll hear it 2 more times. It's the second last time you hear it for a game. There you go, Pez, for the games.
With your bet slip for the Brownlow, I've already got my emoji, a little picture of Han Solo.
Why is that big? Why is that big?
Because you're going to be riding solo in that Brownlow show,
especially if they're running it on a Sunday night, Pez.
All right, let's get into these specials. Sports bet, they've got the same game multi-saver. So 3 to 4 legs, 1 leg fails, money back. 5 to 6 legs, 2 legs fails, money back. 7+ legs, up to 3 fail, money back. And you can do up to 3 matches per round. Tab, same game multi-special, all games, well, there's only 2. 3+ legs and 1 fails. They've also, you will not believe what Tab have this week, Source. They've got lead at halftime but lose. AFL Finals head-to-head specials on all games. Bonus bet back up to $50. Venue exclusive.
And Pez, I've checked the tab near my place. Not open. Not essential.
Oh, it's closed, is it?
It's closed, so it's not valid in Melbourne, Pez. And what a tease tab is. What a tease, especially what they could have done is also offered free beer. And that would have been the biggest tease because it's just not fair. It's not fair.
It would have been better if they said free beer from midday to midnight at all tab venues, and then just only in Victoria.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's closed. That'd be good. Mm-hmm. All right, now Ladbrokes coming to the party this week. AFL Finals 3+ League same game multi up to $50 cash back, but you can use the odds boost as well, the odds boost function. So their counterpart in Ned's already were doing it, and now Ladbrokes are doing it as well. So you can get per day four boosts where you can get your same game money back. So you can get 2 on Ladbrokes and 2 on Neds. They've got the $2 lines. We said Neds have the price boost same game multis. They've got the $2 lines, and that's all she wrote.
That's all she wrote, Pez. That's super exciting. All right, the way this is going to work, Pez, we will go through the game in terms of its betting, the odds, the total over-under, as we always do, and then get into an in-depth preview of how both teams can win it and what we think is going to happen in this game. We start things off, as we said, first versus fourth, Pez. What an exciting... No, it's not even first versus fourth anymore, is it? Well, is it? I guess with the teams dropping out. I guess that's how it finishes up with the prelim. But originally, it is first place, second. Melbourne taking on Geelong, $1.50 favourites for the Ds, and Geelong trying to upset Melbourne at $2.60. The line is 11.5 pairs, and the over-under total game points is 151.5 pairs. What unfolds in this absolute ripper of a game?
Well, what unfolds, you've got Brandon Parfitt who goes out injured, Source, so they'll lose that. The Medi-sub stays in there. James Jordan, who was the Medi-sub last week, he goes out. Joel Smith injured during the week, but in comes Michael Hibbard, so an experienced player down there, so he comes back in. And this game, I don't think you can take anything away from the first 2 meetings this year in round 3 and round 23. The coaches were, playing with each other and had a little bit of things going on. I'm sure Chris Scott didn't mean to give up a massive lead, but if he does not have a plan B and a plan C going into this one, there has to be something wrong. Their defence looks really, really good with Zach Tui back in the side, Source. So him being across half back, I think him with Henry's aerialist skills as well, able to stop up there. But Melbourne, they're super dangerous because they move the ball so quickly and they're so accurate through the middle of the ground, Source, that it doesn't matter. They don't need that big, bustling, leading key forward. They can get goals from anywhere. They're smalls, they're talls, they're midfield. So they've got so many avenues, and Geelong will need to work really, really hard on their pressure up the ground to be able to stop the ball coming in there. Going down the other end, Melbourne have one of the best defences. You've got Stephen May, you've got Jake Lever, and then you've got Salem, who's running off that halfback with that beautiful left boot as well. So Geelong need to be really careful not to bomb the ball in too high, not to kick the ball anywhere near Jake Lever, which is what they did in round 23, and he was just intercept after intercept. So wherever Jake Lever is, someone take him out or someone take him off the contest, because he's going to try and float off his opponent and get in front of Hawkins or get in front of whoever else and try and intercept that ball. So you've got to keep the ball away from you. You've got to keep the ball low. You don't want to be bombing it up. So they're the two kind of contrasting ways of how the teams get it inside their forward 50.
Yeah, I think you made some really good points there in terms of Melbourne's midfield. And Chris Scott already came out during the week and said that he trusts the midfield. He's not going to worry about Melbourne's midfield, and he's just going to be worrying about themselves. And I don't think that's the right way, Pez, because as you said, they win the ball, they go up the guts, they're extremely accurate with that, that game by foot, and they really set themselves up. So I think that's going to be a key part of that fast-paced movement. And we saw in that fourth quarter when Melbourne came back from 44 points down at Condinia Park, that was the pivotal part of it. They're high risk, high reward, moving the ball fast, hitting targets, and they really exposed Geelong. In that game, they didn't have Zach Tui at the back there playing defence, but Pez, he doesn't really play that role. So they are going to be relying on two contrasting games of football. Geelong, if they're going to win, they're going to have to go back to their slowing the game down. They're going to have to free up those forwards and ensure that they've learnt lessons not only from round 23 pairs against Melbourne, but also the first final, because Aliir plays a very similar sort of role, and he absolutely towed Geelong up there. So Geelong are going to have to hopefully adjust their structure, and I say hopefully because I'm a Geelong fan. And as a football fan, you want it to be a better contest and not a thumping. Hopefully they can adjust that forward structure. They've got the two-headed monster there. I'm not going to say the three-headed monster because Gary Rohan's been a little bit out of form there, but it's going to be a bit of a challenge for them because Joel Smith is a big out, and I think it's really understated because he plays that sort of role that can be, he's got that versatility to quite a big body. He can run. He can play on the big players. He can play on the small players. And you're bringing in, Michael Hibberd, a veteran. Yes, a veteran, but I don't know if he's going to be, be exposed back there because he hasn't had the game time. He doesn't fit into this backline structure, but it's going to be a really, really interesting matchup, Bez.
Oh, it is. And you speak about Gary Rowan, and I think he is one of the keys to Geelong's success because you got Hawkins and Cameron, but you've also got Stephen May and Jake Lever there. So who is that third player that's going to stand up? Is Radaglia going to stand up, take a couple of contested marks? You don't think so because you don't want them kicking the ball in long. He's been really good, Radaglia, at getting to the contest and bringing the ball to ground, and sometimes, he's been able to take some really good marks. But Gary Rowan is one. He needs to use his pace. He needs to get out the back. He needs to get on the lead, and he's a beautiful set shot at goal within about 40 metres. So getting him the footy up in the forward line would be ideal, but they've got to be able to do it. Max Gawn is a big key in this game, Source. Geelong's weakness has always been in the ruck. And, we've seen ruckmen like Oscar McInerney last week dominate in the ruck and not have a massive impact in the game. So can Geelong have Max Gawn dominate in the ruck, but, curtail his impact by the Geelong midfield actually winning the clearances and getting the ball going forward and not letting Max Gawn float back with Jake Lever and take those intercept marks?
Yeah, Pez, it's really interesting you say that because, I know that when Reece Stanley, obviously being Geelong's ruckman, was really, his game was torn apart last time against Melbourne, and mainly for the way that he didn't float back and he allowed Max Gawn to take that match-winning mark. But if you actually watch the game, he actually competed quite well with Max Gawn in terms of getting around the ground, getting to most of those contests. He wasn't obviously winning the hit-outs, and he wasn't winning the hit-outs to advantage, but he was putting, a good stop to Max Gawn for 3.5 quarters. Obviously got exposed in that last play and got absolutely scrutinised for it. But he's going to play a pivotal role in not beating Max Gawn because he doesn't need to beat Max Gawn because if you spend all the effort trying to beat him, you're going to lose. All you've got to do is try and contain with him around the ground and, stop him from getting back and taking those intercept marks. Make sure that you're contesting every single possession that he's there and having a body on him. And I think that Reece Stanley has the tank to do it. Don't know if he's got the strength, Pez, but that is going to be absolutely pivotal if Geelong have any shot of beating Melbourne.
Oh, yeah, 100%. There's so many great matchups around the ground, so many superstars within the two teams. We get to see Petrarca in a preliminary final. It's just super exciting to see. You get to see Dangerfield, who hasn't had the best final series so far. He's been kept a little bit quiet. He had De Boer on him last week, and no one ever wants to play against De Boer because he always does a good job. But I think Dangerfield's a really big part of, getting into that midfield, putting in some ball and getting the ball and getting it out to someone to kick it inside 50. You want Duncan, you want Guthrie, you want Isaac Smith, you want those sorts of players kicking it inside the forward 50 Source.
Yeah, you're right, Pez. And in the contrasting view, you need to have big players from big game from your big players. And last week, Melbourne came to the show. Oliver was fantastic, Salem was fantastic, Petrarca, and that's what Geelong has lacked over the last couple of years in finals. Those big name players stepping up when it matters. And I'm not talking, the second week of the finals. In prelim finals, the big players, the big names stepping up. You need Dangerfield to have about 25, 30, and a couple of snags. You need, Joel Selwood to have 20. You need all these other lesser heroes. Guthrie to have his 30, Mitch Duncan to have 25, and absolutely destroying the tackles. You need Zach Tui to have a game like he did last week. A lot of things have to go right for the Cats to win this, Pez. They almost have to play perfect football because, as you said, they've got an advantage in terms of, their forward and the way that they play a slow, bustling football. And the one team this year that has the list to compete with that, and actually, when you put the two lists up together in game styles, Melbourne dominate that. And that's why they need to play perfect football. And I hope they can do it, Pez, but I'm a little bit doubtful whether they can.
Look, I was saying I'm super excited about this one. I don't want either side to win, but because I don't want any of them to play in the grand final, but these are two really good sides to watch, and Melbourne obviously have really surprised me this season, and with a lot of lesser names. I don't know how much experience is going to play a role because Geelong, much more experienced when it comes to big finals and elimination finals in terms of against Melbourne, because the only player on Melbourne's list to actually have won a prelim, I think, is Jake Lever, if I'm not wrong.
I wouldn't be able to tell you that. It's been a long time since any of them would even get close. Probably Simon Goodwin, maybe. He might be the only one.
Simon Goodwin, get out of it with him. But really big battle. Really looking forward to it, and surely you're going for Geelong in your bets in this one.
I'm in two minds, Pez. I've actually officially on the show. I don't think I'm going to be putting money on Geelong. Because I am all about the profit. I have put a bet down on them, and I've got the odds here, and I'm still debating whether I'm going to use it or not, Pez. But I'll go through with what I'm going anyway for the bets. So the first one I'm going, Pez, I like what you said about the forward battle, and I think that's really, really pivotal. I think you've got really good odds for either of Geelong's tall forwards to win the goal kicking, because Melbourne don't really have that, and we've seen the last couple of weeks, Bailey Fritsch has popped up here and there. You've had, Ben Brown, when he was playing well, he sort of pops up. But I think last time they played, it was overstated how well Hawkins played, and he actually played a real pivotal role in Geelong's lead. He snagged 4 goals, so I'm going with that little hack that I said last time, Pez. Most goals, Tom Hawkins, you can get him at 450, which is a bargain. Anytime goal scorer and Tom Hawkins to score 2 or more goals. I've put 25 on that, Pez, at 550. That's my first bet. And I think, all he needs to do is kick 2 goals and I get my money back. I think he's going to do that. I think that Geelong are going to restructure that forward line a little bit, and they're going to use some of those other players to free him up because, as you said, Gary Rowan's got no one that really can play on him. They haven't got that third player in Joel Smith there that sort of helps create that. I think they can free him up, Pez.
All right, well, there you go. And you haven't included the Geelong win there, which is surprising. I've got a 3-leg same-game multi with, who is this, Neds or Lads? They're the same, different colour. This is Ladbrokes, this one. I've got Zach Tui to get 20-plus disposals. I think he racks them up without Tom Stewart back there, like we saw last week. Cam Guthrie to have a huge one and have 25-plus disposals. And then Christian Salem to have 20-plus disposals, because there are going to be times when Geelong bomb it in. And what do Melbourne want to do? They want to get it in the hands of Christian Salem, running down the wing and delivering that ball. So 20-plus for him. Power boosted, odds of $2.21. I'll put 25 on it.
Yeah, Pez, I like that bet. I like the thinking behind it too. Tui last week was fantastic. Guthrie, if Geelong are even going to get close, he needs to have a massive game. And we know that Melbourne don't really tag. And last time, Oliver had 37, Guthrie had 33. They just rack up the pill in there. They worry about themselves. I like that, Pez. And that's why I've gone a possessions bet, Pez, and I'm going to stick with the possessions bet. I'm not going to include Geelong in that, Pez, so that's a very first. Could be an omen, because every other prelim I put them in there and we lose, so it could be an omen. I've gone with a 4-leg same-game multi with Neds. Sam Menegola to get 20 disposals, Zach Tui to get 20 disposals, Isaac Smith to get 20 disposals, and Cam Guthrie to get 20 disposals. I'm backing in that midfield just like Chris Scott is, Pez. I've power boosted at $2.31 and I've put the max 50 on it.
Max 50 on the disposals. There you go. You can still win that if your team doesn't win. So that's what you'll be hoping for either way. I've got a 3-leg one with Neds this time. And I've gone an alternate total point source of over 130.5. So a little bit higher than I would have liked, but 130.5 gets me a little bit of value. And I've also gone an alternate total points of under 180.5. So the total score has to be between 131 points and 180 points there. And then I've put an alternate handicap of Geelong plus 27.5. And the only thing I'm worried about there is if Melbourne, have a 3-goal lead in that third quarter and Geelong drop their heads. You've seen in prelims before that the teams just don't put in that effort when they know that the game's dead late in the fourth quarter. So it could blow out a little bit further than that. But if Geelong can compete early on for the first 3 quarters and possibly win the game source, that will be a nice little handicap there of plus 27.5. Power boosted, $2.09, 25 on it.
It is a little bit of a risky one, Pez, that, because as we know in prelims, 8 of the last 11 prelims have broken out in the fourth quarter or the third quarter, started with started with a margin of about 11 and broken out to about the 33.5, 34.5 mark. So that's what ends up happening is in that fourth quarter, if it is close and you get back-to-back goals and it brings it open to that 3 or 4 goal mark, a lot of the teams queued in the rack, Pez, and they just dominate because they know that their season's over. So hopefully, Pez, that isn't the case. Or hopefully it is the case and it's Geelong doing that, Pez, and they kick away. So that's what we want, Pez, for Geelong to get through. And I know that secretly, deep down, you do love the blue and white of the Cats.
Well, I wouldn't mind Melbourne not being in the grand final, but beggars can't be choosers. Now, before we get into the next game source, really, really great preview of that one and some good insight to what will be happening there. I think we need to have a talk about our future bets because the future bet is going to be coming out of our ROI this week's source, and I've got Melbourne to be eliminated in the preliminary final. Now, I didn't think they were going to win the first week, and then they were going to win the second week and then lose the prelim, but not to be the case because they won that first week. But if Geelong win, I've got $25 on Melbourne to be eliminated in the preliminary final weekend at $2.30. So we'll see what happens.
That's a nice little collect there, Pez. And I'm actually hoping that I'm donating 25 to the cause because I've got Oliver as most disposals throughout the whole final series, and at the moment he's sitting very nicely in third place on 33 disposals, Pez, but I don't know if he's going to get that up and about, so I'm hoping that actually loses this week because he only has the 2 games and Geelong goes through.
Well, you've got McRae, who's already played 2 games, Source, and he got 39 disposals against the Bulldogs, against the Brisbane Lions last week.
He's sitting on 71.
71 disposals, there you go, after 2. So you really need him to lose. But even if he loses, he might have 30, and that bet might be done anyway. So you really want your bet to lose, but you want it to lose because Oliver doesn't have a chance to play a third game.
Yes, pretty much, Pez. I don't mind you don't mind losing bets when it means your team wins, Pez. I've got a mate who every time his team plays, he puts $50 on the other team so that he's happy either way. Because he follows West Coast, so half the games are at home and he loses that, but the other half he wins.
Oh well, you're putting $50 down every day. Yeah, I'd be disappointed sometimes when my team won.
I mean,
I would have lost $50.
He's not like us, Pez. He's not a skilled punter and he doesn't track the ROI. He just, I think that's the only bet he has, Pez. So, but you were correct, Pez. That was a great analysis of the game. Some really, really good insights, and I'm really. Well,
he can't come on the cheeky punt because if I had to calculate his ROI over the years, it might be down in the dumps.
He would be, Pez. He would be down in the dumps, Pez. But I'm going to take a low blow here. He's got a couple of premierships to keep himself smiling for a little bit longer.
Oh yeah, I'd be down in the dumps too if my team could ever win a premiership. That'd be good.
All right, let's get on to the next one, Pez. This one is going to be an absolute cracker, and just like round 23, we have the same matchup, Pez, and I don't know if we can read too much into the last one as well, because last time we had Port Adelaide dominate every single category, and they only scraped through in the end against Western Bulldogs in Adelaide. So Port Adelaide taking on Western Bulldogs. This game is in Adelaide Oval again with a crowd. $1.40 favourites are the power. $2.98 outsiders are the Western Bulldogs. Minus 15.5 is the line. And the over-under total points is 156.5. Pez. This one is, been the talk of the week has been the Western Bulldogs injuries. Port Adelaide are going in unchanged. Tell us what we can expect from the wounded Bulldogs.
Yeah, there's a few interesting ones going in terms of the ins and outs for this one.
Yeah, there are, Pez, most definitely. There was a lot of injury clouds through the week on Bontempelli. We had, obviously, a lot of... He didn't play that last quarter. We had... not the last quarter, last 5 minutes. Really concerned. He got through the training run, and he has been listed in the 22, but I think it would be still sort of scrutinised whether he's going to play or not and going through a fitness test. Of course, you're going to try to name him, and if it's too bad, Pez, surely you don't risk him for the longevity of his career.
I don't know. Surely, I think he's going to play. I think that's what's going to happen. He's going to be too proud not to play. Alex Keith, big injury in the Bulldogs' defence, who's going to be out. Cody Waitman as well, a little goal sneak up forward. He's got the injury cloud there with the head knock or concussion, whatever we want to call it. And Lewis Young has been omitted because there is a big in. So Zane Cordy comes in to replace Alex Keith, but Stefan Martin, we spoke about him on Monday night, I think it was, and he's back. The problem with that is he hasn't played any second-tier football. So no match fitness, just match simulation at training it would be. Sam Palpepper omitted, it's Scott, but he'll be that sub, how he got subbed on for Fantasia in week 1 of the finals and came on and kicked 2 goals as well. So some big news going in. They want to be able to compete in the ruck against Port Adelaide and Scotty Lysette down there. Now, interesting, we spoke about with Melbourne and Geelong. They played 2 times during the season. So did the Bulldogs and Port Adelaide. In round 9, the Bulldogs won by 19 points. It was a very comfortable win over at Adelaide Oval when Port Adelaide couldn't beat anyone inside the top 8. All right. We head over, I think it was at Marvel Stadium, where Bulldogs dominated on the scoreboard, Port Adelaide dominated in the stats, and Port Adelaide got over the line by 2 points just in round 23. So they'll build confidence from that. But you look at these lineups, you see what's going on. You've got a couple of question marks over some of the Bulldogs players, which I think will lean me over to Port Adelaide.
Yeah, Pez, I think that the key here is you look at that Western Bulldogs list, there's a lot of question marks. Port Adelaide, as a football fan, as an AFL player, one of the things that you love to see, Pez, on the Thursday night is team unchanged, especially when you dominated a team in the last game. You won your way straight through to a prelim final. Unchanged is the magic word. But the thing that I would be really worried about is Stefan Martin, Pez. As you said, he hasn't played any sort of A-grade football, and he's only been playing he hasn't played any second tier as well to sort of get his match fitness up. There was question marks over Luke Beveridge's conference today. He sort of said that he doesn't think that he's got the match fitness. He doesn't think this and he doesn't think this, but then said if he's fit he'll play. So I don't know if he'll be a laid out Pez, but you got to have concerns for him because one of the reasons he's been missing and he's only played 1 game in 134 days is thanks to not 1 injury, not 2 injuries, not 3 Pez, but 4 different injuries spreading across his body. Achilles, shoulder, hip, and groin. That is really concerning. And you are going into a game, a very important game, probably one of the biggest ones of his career. And it appears you're going in a little bit underdone and you're going up against the big bodies of Laddens and the Port Adelaide forward line that he's going to sort of float down and do some defence there. It's a huge, huge call for Luke Beveridge to make.
Yeah, geez, Stefan Martin sounds like me with the amount of injuries. I'll get up off the couch.
He's good at football, Pez. There's a big difference.
I'll dislocate my shoulder getting off the couch. But yeah, Stefan Martin, big worry. And you're thinking, well, you're suggesting watching that press conference, so a little bit of mind games could be on the cards here, where Stefan Martin's named in, where Port Adelaide have to go and plan for him, put in the time, and then are laid out and Lewis Young straight back in. You're thinking maybe.
It's an interesting one, Pez. I don't know why you would name him. There was some suggestions that he might be put on there just to run out and until he is no longer, like he runs out the game, goes maybe about 80%, and then they bring on the sub. So they use him as a bit of a person to run with him and just bang bodies with Laddens and until he's sort of, done. But I don't know why you would name him if he's not fit. And it's a ruckman that your structure is going to be around, and then to withdraw him, it throws a whole range of different spanners in the work that you could be playing mind games, Fez. But if we're talking it from a planning point of view, Ken Hickley's not going in with a backup plan. He looks at this and he looks at the history and he goes, you know what? This is the one scenario which I think is going to happen, but here's my backup scenario.
No, they're going to be over-planned. They're going to have everything, every angle done. And Port Adelaide, they've had heartbreak before in prelims with a lot of players on this list. But you look at all the players on the sides and some really important players as well. They're still a young side. They've got Carl Amon, Zach Butters. You've got Willem Drew in the middle, which I'm looking forward to. And I hope Willem Drew and Tom Liberatore are around the ball because that's going to be absolutely massive, those little contests in there and the tackles that happen. I was really impressed with Port Adelaide for one of the first times this year in week 1 of the finals because their pressure was elite. It was one of the best things that I could watch. And because of the pressure up the ground, Geelong had to bomb the ball up forward, and guess who was there? It was Alia all day long. So you've got Norton, who's down there. They need to make these players, Bailey Smith, Lachie Hunter, Jack McRae, they need to put them under so much pressure that they're bombing the ball forward. So Alia is in the perfect position to intercept that ball, and then they've got back going the other way. I mentioned Carl Amon and Zach Butters. You want them kicking it inside the 50. Maybe Ollie Wines will be doing that as well. You've got so many scoring opportunities for this Port Adelaide side, and the only downfall for them that I can see is their form from earlier in the year when they couldn't beat the top 8 side Source. But they proved they beat Geelong. They didn't just beat them, they absolutely dominated them that day. You got Charlie Dixon up forward who, sometimes he plays a little cameo role where he's the distraction. He's just the big body. He doesn't care if he touches a footy or not. He doesn't care if he kicks 2 or 3 or 1 or 0, as long as they win the game. You've got Todd Marshall, probably needs to stand up. Probably most pressure it will be on him. You got Robbie Gray, who's an absolute elite set shot at goal as well. So if he can get off the chain and get a couple of marks on that lead inside forward 50, it'll be money. Connor Rosé, who's become a known goal kicker. Travis Boak is going to have a couple of pings. You got Ollie Wines there. You got Dersma, who can float up forward and kick goals. There's just so many avenues for this Port Adelaide club. Down in defence, Tom Jonas, who's got the big body. Alira will come in from the side. Ryan Burton's been really impressive as well with his intercept marking and field kicking as well. There's so many positives to look at.
So many positive pairs, and you didn't even really go into detail about their elite midfield that they've got at the moment, and potential. A lot of the bookies have the Brownlow favourite. Ollie Wines has had probably the best month of footy that you'll see in a long time, averaging 33 disposals and a goal over the last month, pairs, and that is huge. You've got old father time in Boak. Last time they played, he racked up 31 disposals, 2 goals, 3, and of course Robbie Gray loves a couple of snags, pairs. He's been in ripping form as well. And the other positive for Port Adelaide, pairs, Alex Keith, last time he played, he held Charlie Dixon goalless, and over the last month of Alex Keith playing, he's only conceded 3 goals against those key forwards, and he's out. So Charlie Dixon would be licking his lips, because not only is he going to have the key position player not playing against him, the Western Bulldogs going to have to shuffle around. So whereas he normally is the decoy, he's now playing on the second or third string player, and he's going to be licking his chops there, Pez, I think.
Mate, that's a massive weakness at the moment, and the biggest loss for mine, which is why I think Port Adelaide win this game. You've got Ryan Gardner, who's, he played a good final, and you've got Zane Cordy, who's coming back in, which you're not too sure about of how he's going to be able to perform in this high-pressure situation in a prelim final. I didn't even mention Fantasia, who, fit after getting that knock to the nose the other week and getting subbed off. He's ready to go. He's named on the interchange bench and ready to go. I'm thinking the one part of Port Adelaide's list that I don't really like is Peter Laddams. So he can get on fire, and he can be a second tier ruckman and do some things up forward. I think the one thing is they could be a little bit too tall with Marshall, Dixon, Lysett, Laddams, and then the Bulldogs can take advantage with the run from the back line. I think that's the only avenue where I can see a weakness, and the Bulldogs could take advantage of it.
Yeah, and that's what if the Western Bulldogs are going to compete in this game, Pez, and I tend to agree that Port Adelaide sort of, if you put them on paper, they dominate the 3 key areas of the game. They dominate in terms of the ruck midfield combination, their back line is strong, and their forward line, they've got so many avenues to kill you. But if we look at the game style for the Western Bulldogs and what has been successful over the last, probably the whole year actually, is that over possession, run and gun, run at all costs, high accountability football for your defender. And that is one thing that Port Adelaide play that same sort of style. So this game could just be a back and forth, and whoever gets control of the ball and makes less mistakes wins. Last time they played, pairs, Port Adelaide didn't score off any Western Bulldogs turnovers. They conceded no goals off turnovers. So if the Western Bulldogs don't turn it over, they're a good chance to really, really, pump up and win the game, because they control the ball, pairs, they look after the football, and if they can keep possession of it and run at all costs, they will set them up for success. We did worry last week and the week before where their goals are going to come from, but pairs, we need to stop worrying about that, because they find avenues to score, they find ways to score. Cody Waitman's a huge out for them. Bontempelli coming in a little bit underdone, a little bit injured, is another big doubt for them, because he's been one of their goal kickers. But you like to see big players, potential Brownlow medalists going head to head here, pairs, in Ollie Wines and Bontempelli. This is going to be an absolute star-studded game. And what I like, Pez, and I don't really like the Bulldogs, but what I like is we've seen this before when their back's against the wall, the Bulldogs overperform. And everyone keeps talking that this final series has been like, it's going back to 2016. No, it hasn't. But right now, Pez, they're going into a home ground that they're not familiar with. They've got everyone against them. They've got injuries, back against the wall, nothing to lose mentality. That is scary.
It is scary. And the other thing that's scary for me is Bontempelli with the little, PCL or a little bit of a knee injury. He's a dangerous forward. And I think without Josh Bruce, without Cody Waitman, he needs to play a lot of the game up forward and kick a handful in order for the Bulldogs to have a shot to win this game as well. I don't want to write them off completely or anything, but I do think Port Adelaide are going to be too strong. their midfield has run, but if Port Adelaide put 80% of the amount of pressure they put on against Geelong, they win the game pretty easily, I think.
Yeah, Pez, and obviously different styles of game. With a slower game, it's a lot easier to apply pressure and a lot able to sort of, crowd the areas where the players are going to be, and that obviously when the game is slowed down, they force turnovers. But Pez, the Western Bulldogs last time didn't turn it over that much because they do sort of run that cannonball sort of style, Pez, where it's just run and gun. They run inside and outside. They weave it in and out, similar to Melbourne with less less kicking. Basically, they weave in and out. They run the angles, and they have got a fair bit of pace coming in there, Pez. The inclusion of Joe Johannesson coming off, no longer a medical sub, adds a nice little bit of extra run for them as well. Wouldn't be surprised if he sneaks up forward and snags a couple just through getting out the back.
Yeah, well, I think you've hit the nail on the head with their key to success and what they need to do. They need to run the ball in and get that short kick going inside forward 50. You don't want to be bombing it with a Lear. I look at the semi-final last week and I've rewatched it again, and I think Brisbane source last week, they had so many opportunities going forward. They moved the ball so easily against the Western Bulldogs last week, and then they just broke down when they were going inside their forward 50, whether it be a missed kick turnover. There wasn't, the amount of intercept marks happening, but just the kicking of Brisbane really let them down with them going forward. But they broke through very, very easily. So I think Port Adelaide will put the pressure on. They'll be able to go through the Bulldogs' defence fairly easily, and they don't have to worry about those two. Alex Keith, who's been a really good fullback, and in the last month, if there was only a 4-week All-Australian side, he'd probably be the fullback.
Yeah, I really love that point, Pez. As good as the game was last week, Brisbane Lions definitely lost that game, and the Western Bulldogs didn't win that game. The Brisbane Lions had so many opportunities, and as you said, going forward, that was the only area of the game that they really stuffed up, is they allowed the Bulldogs to look really good defensively, and maybe some people can put it to, well, they had the structures there to compete them and force those turnovers. As you said, Alex Keith, a huge out. And that back line is going to be in a little bit of disarray.
Yeah, definitely. And so I'm guessing we're both going, tipping Port Adelaide. You can tip someone and go for someone else if you want. But I actually want Port Adelaide to win as well, because I got a couple of Western Bulldogs mates and, probably listening to the show, but stuff the Bulldogs. You already won your premiership. You know me. I'll go for the interstate sides if my side's not in it. So Port Adelaide's my only hope.
Yeah, Pez, and everyone knows my thoughts on the Bulldogs. I can't stand the Bulldogs, and I actually don't mind the mantra of going for the interstate side, Pez, because obviously I think that we match up quite well against both sides. Obviously, we had a bad game the first week against Port Adelaide, but I like Port Adelaide's list, Pez. There's a lot of players in there that I'd like to see get a premiership in terms of Travis Boak, Charlie Dixon. I'd love to see him get one. Could you imagine him in the celebrations after, Pez? Oh, big Charlie Dixon.
Oh. I don't think the world's ready for it.
Oh, that's why I want it, Pez. If Geelong don't make it and Port Adelaide do, I would love to see a wild, unleashed Charlie Dixon. We've seen the angry side, Pez. I'd love to see the celebration side.
Put your your coach's hat on or whatever. You're coaching Geelong. You're going to win this week, and you're playing in the grand final. You get to hand pick the team you want to play to give you the best chance to win. Do you play against Port Adelaide or do you play against the Bulldogs?
Like the Bulldogs, the list that they've put up this week.
Oh well, they've got 2 weeks to get those other players right, don't they?
I mean, I'd probably go with the Western Bulldogs. I think actually, if you look them on paper, their game style matches up a lot better against ours.
I think one of my favourite things to see would be your reaction if Geelong lost the grand final to the Western Bulldogs.
No, I would not want to play the Western Bulldogs. If we're looking at just the actual emotion side attached to it, I could not survive, Pez. I could not survive if I had to hear about those Footscray flogs talk about them beating the Cats. So we don't have to worry about that, Pez, because as we've said, we've spoken through it, and Port Adelaide are going to get the chocolates in this one.
All right, I'm going to put our money where our mouth is then, I guess. Here we go. I've got a 3-leg same-game multi-source. I've got under 184.5 points in the alternate points. I've got over 129 points in the alternate points. And I've got the Western Bulldogs handicap source plus 42.5, because I don't think Port Adelaide are going to blow them out. And I couldn't get any value on the Port Adelaide alternate line. I think it's going to be close. was a toss-up between the Power 1-39 and a big Bulldogs plus. So I put the Bulldogs plus in there. Gets me $2.32, boosted odds at Ned's and 25 on it.
Totally disagree, Pez. I think this game is going to open up early, and once the nail is in the coffin, Port Adelaide are going to drive it home. And I think the line of minus 15.5 is absolute mincemeat. That's going to be blown out in the first quarter. I've gone a 3-leg same-game multi. Port Adelaide minus 15.5. As I said, I think that is extremely good value. Charlie Dixon to kick 2 or more with no Alex Keith. And our man, Pez, Carl Amon, to get 20 or more disposals. I put 25 on that one at 3.40 with Ned's. And just to salute exactly what I'm saying about them dominating from start to finish, I've gone Port Adelaide wire to wire. So deleted every quarter, $2.20, and I've put 25 on that one as well.
Well, there you go. My second bet here, I've got Connor Rosey, because I think there'll be a lot of work put into, Big Charlie over there. Connor Rosey to pop up for 2+ goals. I like his odds there. Robbie Gray to kick a goal. Big prelim, big moment. Robbie Gray stands up. And Marcus Bontempelli, with the thoughts of he's going to play more percentage of game time up in the forward line. And he kicked 0-3 last week. I think he can get a snag if he plays. Can you press the cheeky button for me?
Cheeky!
Oh, that's a misclick.
That is a misclick.
The cheeky there. The odds of that source, $7.32, boosted with Ladbrokes. Cheeky 10 on it.
Cheeky 10. I like it, Pez. I like it. Very, very possible, Pez. And in all those scenarios, all those people kicking goals, Port Adelaide looking good.
three goals to 1. Port Adelaide Bulldogs there.
Hey, there we go. That's a win. Pez. It's a really interesting one, this game, Pez. I'm looking forward to it, but I do think that Port Adelaide are going to be way too strong, and maybe it's a little bit hopeful as well that I don't have to hear about anyone from the Western Bulldogs talking about another 2016 miracle.
All right, prelim finals footy. There's the 2 preview source, and I can't wait to get into it and watch these 2 on the couch at home, all alone, because we are in lockdown. But I've also got the next one. We've got our multi-source. I'm guessing your multi is going to be your cheeky, so I'm going to go through mine first. I've got a mixed multi, same-game multis across both games here. So, first game, I've got Zach Tui to have 20+ disposals. I've gone the total game points to be over 120.5. I've got Jeremy Cameron to slot 2 goals. I've got Geelong Cats plus 39.5. And I've got the total game points to be under 150.5. So it's got to be between 121 and 150. So pretty on the money there. In the next game, my same game multi, which is also added into that, I've got Port Adelaide to win 1-39 points. I've got the total game points over 119.5. I've got Marcus Bontempelli, an anytime goal scorer, and I've got Bailey Smith on the wing to have 20+ disposals as well. All up, gets me odds of $24.67, and I'll put $10 on that one as well.
I like that, Pez, and you are correct, Pez. I have gone with something a little bit
cheeky
for my bet. It is a very similar sort of setup, Pez. It is a couple of same game multis across the 2 games, and I've just sort of loaded everything on it. I've gone with so much so that I couldn't even screenshot into the one photo there, Pez, so I can't wait for the media manager to get a hold of this one. I've gone in the Melbourne-Geelong game, Patrick Dangerfield to get 20, Zach Tui to get 20, Joel Selwood to get 20, Sam Menegola to get 20, and Max Gawn to get 15, Isaac Smith to get 20, and then in the Port Adelaide Western Bulldogs game, Tom Liberatore to get 15, Carl Amon to get 15, and Ollie Wines, Pez, to have a massive 30 disposals. That gets me odds of, they're actually pretty low, Pez. I was a little bit disappointed. This is $5.80 in that one, and I've whacked 25 on that. But Pez,
many legs.
But when you go over to Ned's, Pez, what I like about Ned's is that they include the 15 and 20 disposals, and like Max Gawn to get 15 is $1. Tom Liberatore to get 15 is $1. Carl Amon to get 15 is $1. So it's a lot of very, very short margins there, Pez, and I was boosting it up cent by cent as we went.
Yeah, I think lads and Neds have the same issue there. When you look at it on your betslip source, it actually says it on my betslip as well. Like alternate points over 120.5, it says it's at $1. It's obviously not at $1. Some of those will be $1 odds or $2 and things like that. a little bit different. But for whatever reason, the algorithm doesn't work when you put it in the multi and have a look at your bet slip after that. But very enjoyable bet slip. That's all. You got no surprises for us? Not another one sitting there somewhere?
No extra surprises, Pez. No surprises at all. The only surprise we've got is coin toss.
It was a toss of the coin.
That 5 wins the toss.
Yes, it's been an unusual year for coin tosses.
Big time again!
All right, Pez. It is your second last opportunity. Ready to go.
I was going to say, Sauce, you've got last week, there was no live bet from you.
No, there wasn't.
Like, I don't know what you're doing, but you're disappointing people because, you know, you were the ninja with your phone in the air with the live bets in week 1, and then you just, you know, didn't even see you on socials.
Oh, if you looked at my Instagram, Pez, I demolished a bottle of Captain Morgan, and I was in no state at all to gamble with the state I was in, Pez. So definitely.
Mate, why would I
doing
look
that.
at your Instagram?
I don't know.
Tell me why I would do that.
Fan of the show.
Yeah. All right. Well, fair enough. A bottle of Captain will do that to you. Lucky you weren't near your phone then, or your ROI would have plummeted. You might have been going on the under 14s Japanese baseball or something. All right. Is that still going during COVID, actually?
No, Pez. We should get going next time. Next time we're allowed to actually catch up. We should do the random bet where you just call up sports bet and just quote 3 different things. Quote 3 different letters for their live bets. That's the best.
We've only ever done that once, and our ROI is actually positive because the bet came off.
It was a good win. The only problem was we couldn't watch it, and I think it was like ping pong in Russia or something. It was soccer in Russia.
The best thing about that is
watch it.
You say the 2 little codes, and they sound a little bit confused, and they're like, "Oh, so you want to put $50 on this?" And you're like, "Yeah, sure." Yep, that's what I want to do.
It's so funny. Like the sports bet people, when they must hear these live bets, sometimes they must, and especially because obviously we'd had a couple of pints, Pez, and it's probably slurring our words a little bit. It's like, yes, AB. So you want to do on, Papa Slaggy of Russia to win 3-2. Yes, mate, that's exactly what I want to do.
Oh, unbelievable. Now we look at the total score Source. You sit on 97. I sit on 95 because we both got the 1 point last week. I should have, gone the other way with the Bulldogs there, but I couldn't do it. So this week I've got to catch up 2 points on you. So we've only got 3 games left. So we'll see what we do here.
All right, Pez. For the first one, we have Melbourne Geelong, and the line is 11.5, and I'm going to go with the Cats at 11.5.
All right, I'll decide who I'm going after the next game.
That's not how it works, Pez. No, we're not changing the rules, mate. It is quick and precise. So get your tip out.
All right, Melbourne.
Oh, here we go. Port Adelaide and Western Bulldogs. I'm going with the Power minus 15.5.
Ah, yeah.
Come on, make it done
I'm
and
going the
dusted.
Bulldogs.
This could be it, Pez. I could have it tied up here. I could have it all tied up and win the whole thing, or you could have it all tied up, and we could be going for the grand final. Absolute.
Ooh.
That would be a great finale. So I hope you're wrong, because I had Geelong plus 5, plus 7, 11.5. So I hope you're wrong and you're eliminated, but it could be up for an interesting finish, Pez.
All right, we'll go from there. One more day in the work week, and we have finals footy, prelim finals footy, which is my favourite. So can't wait for both of these games, and I can't wait another 2 weeks after that for the grand final Source. So we'll have another show, and we'll review the prelims early next week, and we'll go from there. So all done and dusted. How are you feeling?
Feeling great, Piers. I can't wait to review next week and review the Demons and the Dogs and get them out and do for season's over. And then I can't wait to have our Brownlow show, which I'm really excited for as well.
All right, we'll see if that happens. I'm tipping maybe not. We'll see what
You can't catch that one on the line, Pez.
I'm Pez. Peace out.
I'm still Sauce. We'll catch up next time.